Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Ryan. So Ryan, welcome man.
Welcome, thank you.
So Ryan, what is your official type? Can you give us the full type?
It is double feminine, SETI, consume, play, sleep, blast. So that's double feminine ESTP, consume, play, sleep, blast.
And then what did you think and how did you feel when you got your typing results back? It must have been a while ago.
I actually thought I was NETE originally. So it was a lot of, it was a big adjustment actually, like moving over to understanding where Dave and Sham were coming from with my type, but I definitely see it and agree with it after I've sat with it for definitely a long time.
You know, we don't get very many ESTPs in the group, you know, like you are like one of the few rare ones. I remember when they first started officially typing people, like I couldn't find any ESTP. It's only been in like the last year when like you guys have been like kind of popping up. So I don't know, like how did you get into the personality stuff? Because it seems like a lot of ESTPs don't care for this kind of things, you know?
No, I think a lot of them don't. I got into it I originally was into the 16 personalities thing. I was just kind of the person who did personality typing in my friend group. So I did the Myers-Briggs stuff originally, and eventually I got into OP, and it's just been working with it from there. I enjoyed the YouTube videos, and I was really curious about what my type was. Like I said, I originally thought I was NEFI or NETE or something when I learned about the jumpers, but I'm pretty obviously SE. I don't use analogies. I play basketball with most of my time. Some pretty SE stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I play basketball too, and I'm NETE, so it's not. I don't think it's fair to
No,
say.
that's okay. That's
Yeah. It's not like just SE people that play basketball. I think the people who are the best at basketball are SE people. Like so you guys are the best at it. So we're like the terrible players, but we still play.
I enjoy it. I like ball handling and stuff like that. My SE likes that.
Are you good at like dribbling and stuff and like getting it through your legs and stuff and like
Yeah.
Yeah, see,
Yep.
I can't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I can't do any of that stuff because I'm an idiot.
That's the most fun stuff. That's the SE stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm so jealous of you guys. Like when I see the SE people like doing those crazy like dribbling and shit, yeah, I'm like, oh man, I wish I can do that. Like you guys have such like amazing ball handling. It's just like I can't do it, But how is your shooting though? Are you good at shooting?
Yeah, I'm all right at shooting. I'm a better mid-range shooter than I am the 3-point automatic from mid-range.
So I'm only asking because I have SE friends who do those crazy ball handling, dribbling and stuff. But then by the time they do a layup, they miss and shit. So I'm like, yeah, you do all this fancy work, but you can't shoot the ball, And then I have another friend who's an ISTJ, and he can't dribble for shit. He can barely run, and he's a cherry picker. He just stands inside the hoop, but he gets it in, So,
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was thinking of like, I'm like, yeah.
I was in rehab not too long ago, and we played a lot of basketball there, and there was one of the guys who was there who I was playing with was an SI, and he had like the ugliest free throw shot ever and everything, but it would go down every freaking time, and it was just like he had it, man. He had it. He was like an SI lead, and we played a lot together, and it was just he would always knock it down.
It's kind of like Tiger Woods, because he's an ISTJ, right? And he's the best golfer in the world, and it's because you're doing the same shit, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I think the SI, they don't look very fancy when it comes to playing sports, but they do get the job done, when it comes to
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So let's talk about SE since we're on that topic already. So you have feminine SE. So do you have like a bad memory, would you say? Like, do you forget things all the time because of that
Yeah,
SE?
definitely a bad memory. I'm good at the storytelling stuff when it comes to SE, I suppose, but I have a terrible memory. So I it's not like the stuff that I'm bringing up is not often from my own life and my own experiences or whatever. It's just kind of information that I've synthesized over time and integrated and can now kind of bring back up.
What is your superpower with feminine SE though? Because I think a lot of people think, okay, if you have a feminine function, it's not as good as the masculine function, because it's not as solid. It's a little bit movable, what do you call it, movable. But like one of the greatest MMA fighter of all time, he just retired. I don't know if you watch UFC, but Anderson Silva, he's double feminine, right? With that feminine SE, and he, like when he does striking and stuff, like he can move his head so fluidly, so there is that superpower with that SE.
It's instincts. There's some kind of instincts. I was making this comparison because there's a lot of wide receivers in football who are feminine SE. And I think that it's almost like that SI like thing where you do something enough times and you just integrate it into yourself. With feminine SC, I see that a lot with just basic instincts on like when something's gonna hit you, like for like how you react when you flinch. Maybe I would say that would be the superpower. Like when I hear something coming over my shoulders, I react a lot quicker. When I hear something behind me, I react a lot quicker. When I'm running with my friends, it's like I don't know, like being attached to your senses in a way that isn't related to chronological format, which masculine SE might have.
What I was thinking with the feminine SE is kind of like, I'm using my analogies here because I'm an ENFP, but the Matrix, when they shot Neo and then he kind of dodged the bullet by doing that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I picture feminine SE. Like it's almost like your reaction time to like dodge and avoid like obstacle is so good. You're very alert and very focused when it comes to like the dodging of the sensory, because I feel like with masculine SE, it's kind of like that, like like you're like this big football player, you're gonna spear everyone or like shove everyone out of the way. So you're like kind of like you're like pushing against the sensory as opposed to dodging the sensory. So would you say like that's something?
Yeah. That's kind of what I meant when I said instincts. Like that's like the instinct to dodge. You know what I mean? The instinct to fluidly move to get through something. I also I also compare feminine SE or tester SE, visual SE, whatever, you can use those words to describe it too, as like tracking visual chaos, which is why they'd make good catchers of footballs and stuff like that.
So when you play basketball, would you say your feminine SE is really good at like weaving through people when you're going for like a layup or something,
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's like making a spatial calculation before you do something.
I see. And then you execute, and then it's just like,
Yeah, it's like that, especially with masculine TI as well. Like I can imagine it would be different if it was masculine FI and feminine SE, but it's like a visual calculation and then you execute it.
Gotcha. So when you got officially typed, you kind of knew you were already an EP. It was just a different kind of EP. You kind of flipped the sensory and the intuition.
Yeah, exactly.
So your intuition is masculine NI. So that's probably why you saw the N, is because it's masculine. And
Yeah, I think so.
but at the same time, it's your biggest demon. So let's talk about what demon planning is. Like, what is demon planning for you? Like, do you have trouble planning, like long term? Like, are you always living in the moment?
Yeah, yeah. I just live in the moment and often forget the things that are coming around the corner consistently. Um, I could maybe get a calendar and try to do that kind of stuff better, but I choose not to because I'm lazy. Uh, but yeah, no, it's like no connection to physical time or space. Like, I swear to God, with feminine SE, at least the way that I experience it, um, I feel like an absolute ditz. Like, I should be good at all this sensory stuff, but I forget all of it constantly. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
So how does it work when you make plans with people? Because you're demon planning and then you have feminine SE, right? So like do you not show up or do you flake a lot when you make plans with people?
I do tend to flake a lot. Like, but sometimes because masculine Ti will make it happen though. Sometimes though, like masculine Ti. Like, if I make a promise that I have to be somewhere, then sometimes I'll like fully integrate it and I'll be able to. That's kind of what I'm okay. So like, if I can't, if you look at Ni like it's in the future, right? I'd have to fully integrate the importance of something happening to remember that it's going to happen. It's not on a timeline. So if it's just like, oh, I'm going to my friend's house and it's something that's exciting, then maybe I'll be able to attach a date to it. But it's the exciting comes first. The date does not come first. The date is lost in a sea of nonsense. The exciting is like on a timeline.
Gotcha. Okay. So it depends on the priority, I guess, like how much you value or how important is it for you.
Yes. Yeah. It'd be like trying to timeline. It'd be like timelining exciting events without using time. So it's just thrill seeking, basically.
Okay, that's very interesting. Can you talk about what living in a moment is like? Because that is like the most foreign thing to me. Like I have no idea what living in a moment is like. Like can you describe it to all of us idiots who don't know how to live in a moment? Like
Um, I feel like there's certain thing, and this is another. I saw my other SE guy. Forget what his name was. Do it during an interview, but something as simple as like being in an interview like this and lighting a cigarette is how you live in the moment.
right.
You it's like detached from what needs to be done, but serving the needs of having fun or just doing something else. And it's just living in the moment to have a cigarette when you shouldn't.
Yeah. So it's like Gary V. You know when he does those consultations with like a lot of other people. I would see him like eating during the consultation, and you can hear him like crunching and shit, like just like and it's like so distracting, right? Because you can hear him just chewing, and then like
Yep.
he'll talk with a mouthful while like trying to like coach people on like how to do their marketing and stuff. And I'm like, what? Like it's
Like, what
so
the fuck is happening here?
like it's so distracting, right? Like I can't focus. But I guess that's what living in a moment is. You're like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna have my my food.
Gonna have my yep. And I really get that. I really and so that's and I should say that that's like a mantra that I think a lot of us apply to like our entire lives. Like, there's this whole culture of people who show up, to gatherings and go for smoke breaks. Um, and another group of people are like, that's completely disrespectful that you can't put your habit off for like an hour, to socialize with us. And they're just like, well, this is another form of socialization.
Right.
It's some form of, it's a little circle of um of living in the moment.
So Donald Trump is also an ESTP, right? And double masculine.
Yeah.
So do you think he's always living in a moment too, like just doing like, I mean, you can kind of see it, you know, he just says whatever he wants. He doesn't even think
Oh
about.
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Joe Biden's an ESTP or an ESFP or something like that too, isn't he? I can't remember. Um,
Well, Obama is an
uh,
ESTP.
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure they all live in the moment. You know, they play golf. They but that's kind of the thing is they do it and they make it a social thing. Like Tiger Woods doesn't make if Tiger Woods is a smoker or if Tiger Woods is a golfer, you know what I mean? He doesn't go about his life and make it a social thing.
Right? No.
But Obama and Trump and Gary Vee and all these guys make their smoking, make their apple chewing, make their whatever
Yeah.
about social some kind of social circumstance.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting. We'll touch on that more because I think that's very much like SF play that you're describing. But let's go back to the NI first before we move on to SF play. So you have masculine NI. Would you say you've kind of always seen that you can kind of see the future because it's masculine? It's just that
Yeah, I tend to think that way, that I can see things are coming around the corner. I do that with stocks. I do that with lots of things. I'm constantly anticipating the future.
so with Demon N, what would your tidal wave look like? Like what kind of issues would you have from not planning, you know, or not connecting the dots, I guess, or not making a guess? Like what tidal waves have you experienced with that NI last?
A lot of people having to make up for doing it for me, I guess, you know. And of course, before I'd say like, you know, I'd peacock my planning ability by like being the person that puts together events and stuff like that, you know. And I'd be like, oh, I'm so good at blasting and stuff like that. But I guess I end up being the person that does put together events just because of how social I am. But what I'm trying to say is that it's always poorly planned and thrown together, and it's a reflection of me. You know, we all kind of just get together and smoke and live in the moment.
Oh, okay. I can totally picture that right now. Man, I hate those things, like those kind of events. When I go to those things, I hate them so much. But I'm
That's
SI.
just
Yeah, I
yeah.
like
We just
I completely pictured. I've been to those events that you're describing right now, and it kind of reminds me. It's like, you know, going to a house party, for example. You know, like it's just like
yeah. It's put together by some poor blast last idiot. You know,
yeah,
who's just like, I don't know what people want. You know,
like yeah, and then you go there, you're like what's happening? Like there's nothing happening. It's just a bunch of people like, you know, smoking, drinking, and shit. You know.
just being blast last, just being energy dumb.
Okay. So what issues have you had though personally? So I know a lot of people with NI, they like NI last, like especially EPs, like you know, ESFPs and ESTPs. Like one of the things that you would hate is the system, you know, like fight the system, you know, like you
Oh
know,
yeah,
like
I have issues like the same thing with like the demon. I feel like it's a demon NI thing that I've been getting out of right now is just like, oh, I can't be happy because someone is president, you know, or I can't be happy because something is going on in the world, you know. It's always something like that, like always being attached to like, oh, the world is ending or something, you know, something bad is happening in the world, so I can't be happy. And I feel like that's what my demon NI, you know, it's like relating to the future and stuff like that, and my ideology. And I'm just like, I just can't be happy because certain things are happening. And it's like not even planning for the future because I'm so anxious about the bad stuff happening.
do you also freak out about like, you know, like the big government or the big corporation is out to control us, you know, they're like,
Oh yeah.
you know, there's a conspiracy that's gonna try to control us, you know.
But I've been trying to get out of it. That's the thing. I mean, I know I'm never going to get out of it, you know, but I've been trying to at least avoid my tidal waves
But
when they come.
can you describe what that feels like or like what's that like, you know, like freaking out about like the system, like the government or the big corporation that's out to get you, out to control you. You know, because you just acknowledge that you do freak out about that. So, and you're trying to get out of it.
There's technology. Like recently, I thought my car has this thing where the front wheels are, like the back wheels, in my car are switched with the front wheels on the tire pressure gauge, and so I thought it was the government trying to control me because I would fill the back left tire all the time and nothing would happen, and it kept saying fill the back left tire, but really it meant the front left tire, not the back left tire. And so I thought it was the government trying to control me, trying to get me to drive less because I'm a bad driver.
Oh, that's so good. I love it.
But obviously that's not what was going on.
What was going on?
It was just mixed up. The car is just shitty.
Oh, it's just shitty car.
The front tires are just mixed up with the back tires.
Right. Okay.
It's an American car. It's just shitty.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, American cars are awful. They look good though. I do like the Corvette. Like I think it does look nice. But yeah. So
yeah, I have a Chevy Equinox.
Let's talk about SF play. So you were talking about, a bunch of blast idiots get together and throw a party together. It's half-ass and, it's like really chaotic. But what is SF play for you? Like I have a pretty good idea what SF play is because, I've seen people do SF play, but how do you do SF play like yourself,
It's like a social vibe check, It's not like, oh, it's like actually trying to figure out what is wrong with everybody around you all the time. Like, oh, what's going on in your life? And you're looking for some kind of SF thing, It's like, what are the events, the emotional events that have happened in your social life? And I feel like that is just what social engagement is. But obviously social engagement is something different for other people.
Yeah, because earlier you were talking about, smoking and stuff, and you said smoking or like chewing on food is part of socializing and stuff, and it's kind of like SE and FE together, It's just like, yeah, like this is cool, like it's just part of the vibe of that we're creating here. But I also noticed that a lot of SF play is kind of like just acting retarded, like that's just like it's just like. Because like sometimes I go out to my sister. My sister's at INFJ, and she has SF play, right? So I know how to make her laugh. But and when my other sister sees me doing it, she's like, "That's so stupid." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's SF play. Like, that's what else."
Yeah, you don't know it. You don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no reason for it. It's just stupid, but it's fun, So, like, one of my favorite things to do to my sister is like I'll go up to her and I'll be like, "Show me the money," and then she'll like. Yeah, and then she'll like just fucking laugh her ass off,
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
And my sister's like, and then my other sister, who's an ENFP, is like, that's so stupid. That's not funny.
So stupid. Yeah.
And then
it's like, yeah, like because pop culture references are like where it's at. Absolutely, that's like a very SF thing.
Yeah.
SF thing.
Exactly. So you have double feminine SF play. What is double feminine SF play like? Like how do you?
I'm very ticklish. That's ticklish? A very SF. Yeah, I'm very sensitive. I'm very empathetic. I don't know. It's very loose and empathetic and happy and positive and Obama-like. Look at Obama for some of that. Even though he's consumed sleep, he's got a lot of double feminine SF play.
Is he double feminine also?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he's very charismatic, when he talks on mic. Okay, that I can kind of see that. Talk about FE. You have feminine FE. Are you very movable with your emotions, and also do you tend to follow like the feeling of the tribe or what the tribe values?
Yeah, I definitely do. And with Blast Last, I'm always just like getting run over by the tribe and what the tribe values emotionally, what they want to do. Like if someone was just like, well, I checked the tribe and the tribe wants to do this thing, I just won't question it. I'll just be like, oh, I guess if you check the tribe and the tribe wanted to do the thing, then I guess we're going to do the thing.
So you just like blindly follow it. You don't question
Yeah.
it. That's funny. Do you have an example where like your tribe, like there's like a whole set of values and then the tribe said, okay, hey guys, this is what we think is cool, or this is what we should value. Let's say with your family, and then you're like, okay, let's just do it. Like, do you have any concrete example of when this happened?
Everyone said I needed to stop wearing golf shoes and start wearing Vans because that's what normal people do. So I started doing that.
Oh my God, it's just like trends then. Like you follow trends,
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a movie.
Yeah, normal people are supposed to wear Vans apparently, so I started wearing Vans.
Gotcha. I don't know if you remember, but Brad Pitt made this movie a few years ago. It was like this military movie. I forgot the name of it. But he had this haircut that everyone started copying, and everyone started having the same haircut that he had in that movie. I don't know if you remember that movie, but I don't remember the name. I have to look.
I've had tons of haircuts. My hair used to be really long. And then I had just like a ponytail. Had a comb over, like where I comb my hair like that, and now I just shaved all my hair off.
Yeah.
Recently, out of rehab.
So
when I was in rehab, I just shaved all my hair off.
The movie that Brad Pitt made was called Fury.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he made this movie called Fury.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that movie, but the hairstyle that he had in the movie, everyone has that freaking hairstyle now. Like even right now, everyone has the damn hairstyle from that movie. It's like a comb over kind of version, and it's like
yeah.
And it was kind of crazy because right after that movie came out, there was like a wave. Like everyone suddenly switched their hairstyle to that, and before that, everyone had a faux hawk, right? And then suddenly it switched over to the comb over. So I'm like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I had that for a while. Yeah.
You had a faux hawk and then a comb over?
No, I had just the comb over thing for a while.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's a lot of following trends then. That's very interesting. Like with the SF.
Yeah. Well, there's it's supposed to, you got to stay up on that kind of stuff. You gotta know what's going on.
If you don't stay, if you don't follow the trend, what will happen? Like what? Like are you?
I follow the trends to buy stocks often, so I have a practical use for it. But like Nike, like for example, Nike just went like really crazy on the stock market the last half year because it was undervalued, and Nike is one of the only shoe companies out there that are worth anything. So if you understand the trends, right, then you can make an investment in Nike if you see that it's undervalued.
Oh, I see. So you can see what's cool, and then that can also affect the value of that company's worth. So,
yes.
So would you say
Dave and Shan just released a video about this? It was about what's his name? Some Se+Fe guy talking about how Joe Rogan just got bought for $100 million. And the stock market, the company that bought him, Spotify, bought Joe Rogan's contract or whatever. And Spotify's value went up like 5 times what they spent or something like that. So really? That's kind of like, yeah.
It went up 5 times Joe Rogan podcast?
Yeah, it went up 5 times. Well, okay, 5 times what they spent. They spent $100 million, and their value of their company increased by $500 million.
What? Why? Why would the Joe Rogan podcast increase it by fivefold?
Se+Fe stuff, man, because Joe Rogan is a fucking amazing guy. And everyone should know that Joe Rogan is like, there's nobody in the podcast industry that, you see, this is one of those things where I'm just like, maybe I wish I would have known, so I would have invested, but I wasn't paying attention, and Joe Rogan and his contract deals. But no one's done podcast stuff no one has stolen someone from YouTube on a deal for podcast stuff. So it's groundbreaking that it happened, and Spotify was the first one to go take on YouTube and steal one of their content creators.
Oh, I see. I get it.
And so it makes Spotify worth a lot.
Yeah, because Joe Rogan
is worth that much.
Yeah, no, because I was thinking about it, and Joe Rogan, you're right though, because Joe Rogan is one of the few podcasters that is heavily on YouTube also, you know. It's not just like audio. You know, Tim Ferriss has his podcast, but it's mostly on, you know, audio, right? It's not like video. But what about that other guy, Lewis House? I guess he's not as cool as Joe Rogan did, you know?
No, he's not. He's got my personality type, and he's not nearly as cool.
No, he's kind of he's double feminine also, you know. So, wait, is he this exact type?
Yeah, he's my type.
He's your type twin?
Yeah.
Why is he not cool then? You know, why is Joe Rogan cool? Because Joe Rogan is not.
Joe Rogan's a lot cooler than Lewis Howes, man.
Yeah, he is, and Joe Rogan is ST. You know, it's supposed to be the most boring type, right? ST, but like, you know, like he's cool.
Lewis Howes is pretending to be SI. That's why.
Oh, okay, so he's not being himself then. He's not.
Yeah, Lewis Howes is trying to be SI.
I met the guy in person actually. He's really nice.
I know. I'm just making shit up. I'm just.
Yeah, no, but I do see that, like, because I went to one of his presentations before, and people said it was really good. The only problem was it was a little bit socially awkward, like when he did it. Like, it kind of ruined the vibe a bit. But like what he was doing was good.
Right.
The message itself was good, but it was. Anyways, I didn't know he was NF last. That's super interesting. Because he seems like his message is very NF, you know, like he does a lot of NF shit. For someone that's an ESTP.
Yeah.
And you know what? Now that you brought up Joe Rogan, he does do a lot of like that SE shit, like on camera. Like he'll like smoke weed on camera. Remember he smoked weed with Elon Musk. Like, you know, like it's just like not giving, you know. It talks about like a lot of like.
Yep. You gotta rep it. That's the.
Yeah.
You gotta live. You gotta LIVIN.
So let's talk about your double masculine sleep. So your double masculine sleep is NT. Talk about that double masculine sleep. Like, how do you experience that?
It's like the creator of it's like a blog creator of NT with like you just create a block of and you can rely on that knowledge for the future, like predictions.
So how does it work with TI, like your NI?
And it's NT.
Yeah, like how does your TI work with your NI? Like how does it work? Oh, camera's dying.
TI is narrowing down. What'd you say?
Your video has cut out. Like your video froze.
Oh, it's.
I can hear you, but your video's frozen. Yes, your video is still frozen. Like your face is frozen.
Still.
Can
you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you, but oh yeah, your video's back now. Okay, we're good.
Okay, all right, good. So you were saying how does my TI and my NI work together?
Right. In a double masculine way, also.
Yeah. No, I guess it's that real certainty about predicting the future, like with the stock market, and things like that. Like just really abstract predictions from traces of knowledge from all sorts of areas to kind of find out what the outcome's going to be. So it's like finding the answer without it's like finding the answer without proving how you got there, which is what intuition's supposed to be. Which is why it's so interesting that that's how I use it. You know, how the feminine functions don't push with their stuff.
So if people were to question you on your decision
So
to
I'm saying like being
stocks, then you would be immovable when it comes to that. You're like, no, I know this is the right call. I've done my research. I know this is the right call. Like, would you say
yeah, exactly. But with being blast last and being masculine intuition, it's like there's not a lot of proving how I got to where I got to, even though I did a lot of research and have a lot of evidence.
You are ST and you're consume first, so you are ST first. Talk about being ST first.
It's a lot of information reporting. I notice that I do that you can see with SEs. Instead of using analogies to prove points, you're using like, you know, I'm even describing my SE, you know, in an academic format. You know what I mean?
So you're very good at researching and gathering data and then presenting those data, I guess?
Yeah.
That would make sense. So if you're trying to buy stocks, then you've already, consumed the ST part, like the trends of like, the numbers of it going up and down. And at the same time, you've also used your play to kind of gather what's cool. So it's kind of like an enhancing effect to the data. So you can, okay, yeah, this is what the data says, but I think because of the SF, this is undervalued, and I think it should not be worth this much. And then you make.
And then the NT is next, you know.
Then the NT makes a call. Then like, okay, this is what we're gonna buy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's a superpower, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's what I use it for. It's good for stocks.
Let's talk about being blast last and being NF last. Like, what kind of life problems have you had from being blast last or being NF last?
Yeah, it's like missing out on the vibe. Not necessarily of the tribe at a given time, but like missing out on, yeah, like when I do set up a party that's blast last, you know, like I don't know how the vibe is affecting people around me. You know what I mean? I don't know how that's NF moving people around. You know, I don't know if there's some kind of expectation for a party that's not just sitting around and smoking and, you know, having a good time, you know, from my perspective. I think that's probably what being NF last. I don't know what is not a good time. I don't know what's a good time from other people's perspectives. Often. I just know what is, or at least I guess I should say, if I do know, I don't know how to consistently attend to it.
I feel like the NF house party would look very different from an SF house party. Like an SF house party it's gonna have a lot of like alcohol, a lot of like smoking, a lot of like drugs. While like the NF house party will have like, instead of taking shots of vodka, or tequila, you have shots of wheatgrass. Like green smoothies and shit. And like. Like it's and their choice of drugs will be mushroom because they want to like, be one with the universe, like instead of like,
Yeah, exactly. I've been to NF house parties.
Yeah, do you like
Even
those?
blast last NF house parties. They're really fun.
Do you like those NF house parties?
Oh yeah, they're fun.
That's cool. So if you're NF last, one of your biggest life problem then is trying to understand like what is the point of like me being alive? Like what is the point of what I'm doing? Like what am I like? What is the point? Like, is that something that you struggle with?
Still trying to figure it out.
Like, what is your purpose? Kind of like that's the kind of stuff that you struggle with, right?
Yeah. I still don't know. I'm still trying to find out.
Is that something that bothers you, like not knowing your purpose or not knowing?
Yes.
Really? Okay. Talk about that. Like, what part of that bother? Why does it bother you? Or
Because I know life will become so much easier once I do have a purpose.
would you say a lot of NF last ESTPs, they get involved with religion or church because it kind of gives them
Yeah.
a purpose,
Yeah, I would say so. The military, etc.
Right, exactly. So would you say that's very you know what's the word I'm looking for, attractive to you guys? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, um would you say though that once you actually go to the military or follow a church, do you think that because you're freaked out about control that it actually kind of contradicts that, like, you seeking the purpose?
Yes. But at the same time, I think it's part of that hero's journey. The hero's journey is ending and accepting control. And often that ends up into somewhere like the military or something like that, some structure.
So what are you doing personally to kind of to seek out that purpose, or like that place at least that would give you some purpose?
I'm moving to Tennessee um, to be with my grandparents and my aunts and uncles who are going to hold me accountable to do more than my family does in Ohio. So that's kind of what I have going on in my own life.
So based on what you said, would you say that like looking after your family is something that would give you a sense of purpose?
Yeah, it does, but it's not one that's moving my life forward, which is why I have to move away.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of doing the opposite then.
Yeah.
I see. Man, I don't know how like you guys, the ESTPs and ESFPs would find your purpose. I feel like it's so hard, especially with like intuitive being fourth. I think it's gonna be so hard.
Yeah. Just being a parent probably is what it's going to be.
Like I feel like Joko Willing, sleep last and NIFI last. I think he really figured out his NF. So I think he's a good example of someone to model from, like for like a lot of people, because it's his last function, last animal, and then he figured it out. Um, and his NF message is, discipline equals freedom, right? Which really resonates to all of us EPs, right? Because we're all like out of control, right?
Yeah.
So that he found his NF
Yeah.
to teach other people that without discipline you have no freedom. That's his NF, right? So so like if you look at like the way he constructed it, it's very simple, right? It's just like discipline equals freedom, and that's it. That's his like NI concept. That's his NF, and that's the message he's spreading. So like from your perspective, do you have like any clue in the back of your mind that you're thinking of possibly that kind of like just flash in your head and think, oh, maybe this could be like my mantra or something, like this could be like what I follow,
Yeah.
my code, essentially. Like, do you have any code that you
Yeah,
follow?
I think like even like David Goggins has like that where he's like he's in his own mind he's the baddest man alive. That's his mantra,
Right.
you know. Um for my mantra is kind of like it's a quote more or less by like ancient Greek philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. It's just like kind of like a way of life, like stoicism. Um and that's just the greatest tragedy in the life of man is not knowing what his body was capable of before the time was gone. Um, it's just I was paraphrasing more or less, but that's kind of the quote of that mantra that I've chosen to live my life by. Is because I've actually lost 200 pounds. I used to weigh 375 pounds, but now I weigh 175 pounds. Um, and the mantra um, is uh, how is basically just what is trying to avoid the feeling of not knowing what I was capable of when I get old. Because that would be tragic.
I get what you're saying. You are blast last, so it's it's a little bit like the way you worded it was a little bit scattered. But I get your message, and congratulations on losing like 200 pounds, man. That's freaking like that is awesome. Um, so would you say it was all self-discipline then for you to lose that 200 pounds, like exercise and nutrition? Would you say that you'd also?
Yeah, it was a lot of personal discipline.
How difficult was it?
It was a lot of personal discipline. It was pretty difficult. I did the keto diet, and I worked out like 3 or 4 hours a day
Oh my God.
for the first couple months. So it was a lot.
Well, dude, that is like growth mindset right there, man. Like you stuck to it and you got the result, and it's kind of like what you said, like you're maximizing what could be if you really just apply yourself.
Yeah.
Would you say with Blast Last it's hard to apply yourself? It's hard to get started doing something?
Yes, absolutely. And it's hard to start up again when I'm taking a break. It feels like it'll never come back.
So would you say it's every time you go take a break, it's gonna be bad because it's gonna be hard to restart again?
Yes.
Dude, man, I totally relate with that because like when the pandemic started, I went on 90 days. Every single day I have published like a YouTube content or a blog post. And then I said, okay, you know what? I'll take a break. And that break lasted like 2 or 3 months. So it was just so hard to start again.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm Blast Savior too, and that is already hard for me as an EP, right? Like having the discipline to just be consistent. One of my favorite mantras that I've read before is don't do it to win, do it to be brave. And I think that already like will help you get more things done, because sometimes you have that fear of like looking bad or failing or people shitting on you. But then if you do it from the perspective of, you know what, the end result I want is just to be brave. I know I'm gonna get shit for this, whether from other people or I'll lose money or whatever. But the fact that I did it means I have the balls to do it. I'm brave. So that's kind of like the mantra that's my favorite mantra. So,
Absolutely.
all right, dude. I have 2 last questions for you, and then we will wrap up this interview. So the first one is, what advice can you give to fellow ESTPs to work on their NI? Like, how can you guys work on that planning better or that NF better?
Honestly, taking the time to read more is really important. That's something that really helps the planning aspect of things a lot. If you spend time reading, even just you read David Goggins' book, read anybody's book, read a Tony Robbins book, just read something motivational and inspirational that will help you empathize with the struggles of other people and really help you see where they're coming from.
Gotcha. Okay. And would you say that's working for you?
Yeah.
My last question for you is, do you have any questions for me about, functions that I have that you don't have, because we have completely opposite functions. So do you have any questions about that?
Not really. I'm more of a private guy in general. If I have a question, I'll come to you outside of a social setting, because that's the way it goes. But no, I don't have any questions prepared for you.
No, it's okay. But like, okay, my last question. I'll change my last question. Why is that private for you? I'm kind of interested. Like, what about asking other people questions is private?
Because I think it's more of like a momentary thing where like I don't know in this moment if I have a question for you, but that doesn't mean for all future moments I won't have a question for you.
Okay, got it. All right, dude. Thanks for doing this interview today. And
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
all right, man. Peace out.
Peace out.